I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is roll call.
Kevin Brightsey, he is at conference, so he's not here. Bob Gillian. Here. Craig Kenworth.
Here.
Our newest member, Arvid Markner.
Here.
Pamela Mitchell-Fish.
Here.
Ed Morales here. Greg Sim. Red Stone. Here. Nikki Witkowski.
Here.
Rick Burns.
Here.
Also present, Mike Jabo, Susan Hale, and Scott McClure. You have forms, sir.
Thank you. And then before we introduce Arvid Markner, you want to give us a summary of yourself, please?
Retired CPA, came out of the healthcare industry, and got pulled out of retirement a little bit.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if you could hold a minute, the attorney must swear him in. Oh.
All right.
We're ready there?
Okay. Please stand and raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Arvid Merkner,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties of the office
discharge the duties of the office
of the Porter County Board of Planning
of the Porter County Board of Planning
according to the law and to the best of my skill and ability.
according to the law and to the best of my skill and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next item is election of officers. I'd like to open the floor up for nomination. The first position is the president. Do you have a nomination for president?
I'd like to nominate Rick Burns.
I'll second that
Okay,
nomination.
we have a motion, first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those say nay. Those opposed say nay. Thank you. Next is nomination for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Bob Gillian, please.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have first and second. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thank you. Next is motion for DRC officer. I'd like to nominate Kevin Brightsey. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Okay, thank you.
If we could, sir, we could also pick an alternate.
Yeah, I have it, yes, okay, yeah, I'm coming, yeah. Okay, next is VCA officer. I need a nomination for that, please.
I'd like to nominate Bob Gillian.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Okay, thank you. And lastly is alternate for the VCA hearing officer. I'd like to nominate Craig Kenworthy.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, thank you. Okay. And these are confirmation for appointments.
Excuse me,
You want the whole group?
For the DRC.
Yeah, for DRC.
Of your board membership, DRC alternate to Kevin Brightsey.
Okay. Do you want as a group or each person, or how do you want to do
If
it?
one amongst you, other than Kevin, to be.
Only one, another alternate. Oh, okay, yeah, I know that, that's, okay. Do we have a nomination for alternate for DRC?
For those of you who are unaware, the Development Review Committee usually meets during the day, 9 o'clock in the morning. Unofficially, we hear cases, a lot of cases appear before you or the BZA. Sometimes we approve administrative plats, but it's more of a technical review. We have a representative from the Board of Health, we have the Highway Department representative, we have the Development Department, and myself serve on this board. And we simply listen to cases, give people valuable feedback so they can respond to that before they appear before boards. So we're looking for someone that's got some knowledge of development and how it goes, and has got availability during the daytime. So if anyone would like to.
How often do they meet this month?
We could meet twice a month sometimes, mostly once a month.
Is anybody interested?
And that's just an alternate.
That's just an alternate.
It's just an alternate when Kevin can make it, like, if he had one this week, he's at conference, yes.
Are you interested?
If you can do it.
I could probably do it. If it's just an alternate.
Yeah, he doesn't miss that many meetings, does he?
No, he does not.
Well, we need somebody.
Yeah, I can get there.
Okay. I'd like to nominate Cody Kenworth as alternate for DRC.
I'll second that one.
Okay, we got first and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay. You're approved. Okay. Next is confirmation of others on Development Review Committee appointments. Do we need a motion for that?
I think you could do them as a group. These are the people, myself as director is named, plus any alternate. Highway, that's the recommendations of the highway superintendent, I did confirm that. And the health department, I did talk to the director of health department, and those were his two recommendations. And on top of that, according to our rules, someone from the development engineering, which is David Champion, and his alternate. So I think you can approve them all simultaneously.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for Director Mike J. alternate, Christy Marasco of Highway, Martin Mopsek, alternate, Zach Jakubowski, Development Engineering, David Champion, alternate, Kelly Caldwell, Health Department, Dan Boyd, alternate, Zach Martin.
Second it.
Okay, we have first and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, it's approved. Okay, next is approval for professional services agreement retaining Ron Elwood and McCord for legal services for the County Commission and for Board of Zoning Appeal. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We went up to the council, so I'm just
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, that is approved. Any other correspondence at this time?
No, sir.
Okay.
If I might suggest, if the other case is here, that I'd like to maybe skip the first case, they're getting some printing done right now. If we could take the next case in line and hear that first.
Okay. All right. And this second case at MJ-22-0016 is not a public hearing. Is that correct? It's not.
Public hearing was at the last meeting.
Right, okay. So anyway, in case MJ-22-0016, applicant Francisco Delgado, Carolyn Dougherty, with DDGT Incorporated. Project is Sunfield Farms, major subdivision, location 28 North, 500 West, Valparaiso, Indiana, Union Township, zoning is R&R, rural residential district. Request 1 year extension of previous approved plat, primary plat, 62 lot subdivision.
Good evening, Doug Reddick with DVG, representing Francisco Delgado, who is here tonight as well. He's the owner and developer of the subdivision. Sunfield Farms is a subdivision that was approved 2 years ago in January of 2024. There's been delays getting it off the ground, but we have made some progress, and we have had a contract signed with the underground contractor. They moved in equipment, they built their construction entrance, and then the weather got kind of cloudy here in December pretty quickly. but we are underway. And so we're here tonight simply asking for an extension. Typically, it's a one-year extension for primary plat, and we intend to build the first phase of the subdivision immediately. The road's going in probably by June or so. We have all the other groundwork in, build the detention ponds and so forth. But they just got started, and then the weather turned on, but they were hoping to be working all through January, February on dirt work. And hopefully we sold it and get started here pretty soon. But yeah, we're simply asking for an extension of a previous approved subdivision.
Any motion on that?
Commissioner, any comments?
No.
Bob?
No,
Rick?
I'm good.
Pam?
Good.
Vicki? Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to give a one-year extension of the previously approved primary plat of 62 West.
Do we have a second? Okay, we got a motion and a second. Is this Horst or Ballard? Horst?
Voice is fine.
You do this, okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are those opposed? You're approved.
Thank you very much.
Next case is Z0-2025-33. Applicant is Blue Oil Company, care of Valparaiso Consulting, LLC, location 597 West U.S. Area, Valparaiso, Union Township, County C.H. High-Intensity Commercial District, increase to 8.18. Request deferred from previous meeting, rezone a parcel of land to CM 150 Commercial District for the proposed construction of a gas station and multiple office units and parking lots.
Well, good evening, Commission, President, Commissioner, all the council members, and Planning Commission members. My name is David Duran. I am with Game Plan Solutions out of Crown Point, Indiana.
Matt Rossman with ICS, Rossman Partners, out of Crown Point, Indiana as well.
Adam Galfine, Galfine Consulting, Valparaiso.
And again, we're here, we met with you guys back in December, and had a great interaction with the board members and the community, and we're here tonight to address and provide you guys the next best version that we have based on the information that we've had. Again, we want to acknowledge that we listened carefully to the Planning Commission members and nearby residents that were here that spoke on behalf of this project, and everything that we're presenting tonight reflects meaningful changes in response to that. Again, we don't have the PowerPoint, so we have to go with the paper copy that you have in front of you there. Our biggest thing, our biggest takeaway on page 2 there was for the community input in the board, the 5 topics that really hit home to us was density, traffic, utility connections, emergency access, and types of permitted uses. So we're here tonight to discuss those things and show you that we made a good faith effort to address those. On the next page, you'll see that this was the previous layout that was presented back in December. It was a C-store that had fuel capacity on the west quarter of the property, or the west quadrant of the property, and it had 6 units with a detention pond, septic system on this 8-acre plus or minus piece of property, considered 600 north and US 3rd.
I think there might be, that might be the next slide.
So we might be a little ahead.
How it printed out. So on the slide that says previously proposed layout,
Yes.
that's what we proposed last time.
Right.
I think the slides on the computer and the slides that printed out are a little different.
So if you go to the next slide or piece of paper in your packet there, we show a substantial change. We've taken all the units off the US 30 corridor and pushed the building back and kept 4 units on the north side of the building with the C-store fuel station on that west corridor of our property. We increased the size of the stormwater, and so we immediately handled the density side that was brought back to the commission member saying, We specifically heard the 10 pounds and a 5 pound bucket here, right? So we definitely reduced that down on this parcel. The proposed settlement, development side is also on the next page after that. And again, your packet might be slightly different, as we updated this a few minutes ago. We thought we were going to have the visuals in front of you, so bear with us if there's a page missing or two here. If there's a question, please raise a hand up so we'll flag it, make sure we're addressing any concerns as we go along here.
The proposed development's not in your package, but it's identical to
The layout.
the updated proposed layout.
Can I ask a quick question on that real fast?
Yes.
How accurate are we tracking these inlet outlets on the map? Because right now it looks like there's only one off of 30.
That's our plan. There's currently one there on there now, and we're currently going to be utilizing that as well.
I just wanted to make sure,
Yes.
before we leave this page, there's only one inlet outlet.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, there's one.
On 600, there's one on 600 on the backside, and then we're on the northwest.
I'm guessing it's cut off, but right there. Yes.
Yeah, we access from 600.
I'm just saying, on our paper, we can't see
Yeah.
it, so it must be cut off.
Yeah, so if
That's
you look
why I
at
was
the
asking.
previous plan where the layout of the property is, it shows that.
It's still cut off.
Hey, gentlemen, can you speak into the mics? We're not picking you up.
Sorry about that.
That's why I was asking, on both pictures, it's still cut off.
Okay. Do we have a copy of it?
It's okay, I just wanna it's okay.
Yeah, Nikki, right here.
Here's the old.
Thank you.
I think what might help is you're explaining that holds up the whole picture you're talking about.
Yeah, so this page right here,
Okay.
there's only one entrance on the 30.
Okay.
It's just barely cut off on your.
Oh,
No, that's-
Commissioner, we apologize for that.
No, that's fine, I just like, I wanna make sure more than one way.
So this shows it lining up here, so there's access here where you can pull in off of 30, and then you can continue and then discharge out on 600. Or vice versa.
You're fine.
All right, so I think it's good, we'll show the pages where we're at. So next slide will be utilities. Okay, this is where Adam's going to come in and kind of talk about the utilities, septic drainage and water access based on the concerns and questions that were brought up from residents and commission members last month.
Good evening. Again, I'm going to touch on septic, drainage, and water access, potable water access for this development. Septic system is still proposed on this site plan. We were asked to look into the possibility of a connection to a public water supply, a public sewer system, which is 1,400 feet down the road at the school. So we did a side-by-side analysis of a non-site system versus an off-site utility extension. But we're still evaluating that septic system as the preferred alternative for this site, which would be approved through the Indiana State Department of Health and go through all of those formal processes. And in the words of our soil consultant, we did soil samples, he said these are the most conducive soils for septic systems in the entire county. Very well drained soils, we're within a mile of a sand mine. It was formerly a septic system with a motel and a restaurant. The entire surrounding area is currently served by septic systems. So although there is a utility system down the road, this is a perfect site for a septic system that would be combined with these four. It would be a combined septic system for the 4 business park units and gas station at the corner. Besides that, there was some discussion about drainage, and as David mentioned, there's a large stormwater management detention pond that's shown there on the north side of Highway 30. So we would design this well within the requirements of Porter County's requirements, and it's an outlet at an approved and controlled release rate. Indiana American Water has a public water main on the west side of 600 that we would tie into, and that would be connected and extended into this development to serve the 4 buildings and the gas station.
Excuse me, is your septic 5 individual systems or one combined?
One combined system.
How many gallons roughly?
We don't know yet. That would be depends. So the way it works with these types of systems is you test your soils, and then you send that, and then you put together a worksheet that shows
the anticipated usage based upon the types of businesses that are going in and the gas station and these business park buildings. We put together our estimate about what we see as the gallons per day usage, and then the Indiana State Department of Health provides us with their input, and based upon their input and the types of soils, that's how you design and the septic system. So those values are not yet known, but depending on the outcome of this meeting and the rezone, that's what we proceed to next.
I do have a question. On the septic system, do you plan for the worst? I mean, because you're not sure what businesses are going to go in yet, right? And some use more water than others. So how do you plan for the size of the septic?
What you do is you get the Indiana State Department of Health actually wants rough floor plans, and they want to know, based upon the number of employees, how much waste you anticipate. It's all estimated at the end of the day, how much waste is going to get to the line, but they know some general values. And then they know the types of waste that come out of, like a convenience store that might have food production, and so then they tell you how they want it to be treated. You might run it through a grease trap, you might aerate the waste, and then you would send it into the septic system. So the check on all of this, so that it's properly designed and permitted, is the Indiana State Department of Health. And my experience is they scrutinize these very closely, and so that's what we would work toward.
And to answer your question on an ownership level, we would over-engineer the site so that it can accommodate a higher need if we have a situation where we need it. We don't want to turn away a potential tenant because we can't accommodate their amount of waste.
Well, it's not concerning, I'm not sure what type of business.
So we look at that as a risk factor on our part. If we engineer for the bare minimum, we can limit ourselves and say, well, we can only do exactly what we plan. And so we want to have some flexibility as far as it's concerned to the wastewater. So we would have an over-engineering factor. Until we get all the reporting done, I don't know what that is. But whatever it is, we do know that we're going to have a certain percentage more than what we need.
Is it typically 10% more, 15, 20, what would be your overage? Or it depends on the site?
It probably depends on how much we can physically fit on the site, to be honest. So the footprint we have now, we actually only need half. It might be, 20 or 40% more. Because that gives us, we look at that, it gives us more flexibility. Obviously, those uses and those buildings would need to be permitted in the future through the county. But it's just removing one potential article that could represent itself to us for a potential tenant in the future.
Do you have any prospective tenants that are interested in any of those four buildings as of right now?
We have talked to some people. We don't have anything even as solid as an LOI yet.
So what kind of businesses are you talking to?
The type of businesses I can say that I foresee being there. I foresee a lot of types of trade users, like you have like ACC contractors, civil engineers, people that have need for indoor open area for a shop type of setting, and then also some type of office use. Not high levels of sewer use, but there is an office component to it.
Yeah, this was a movie. That's a spoiler alert. The next slide is going to address that. So,
Okay.
and just to piggyback on the side of the septic side, when we put pen to paper this before, our initial calculations were for the gas station and 6 units, and it was working in our property. With the reduction of the density, we feel very confident that those measures are going to be even larger capacity as we look down the road here. Was that the answers?
The C-store would go immediately, though, to answer your
Right,
question. That's
yeah.
not speculative.
So I guess on the next page, are you going to utilities? We're going to go right into what the CM uses were or are allowed on this property. And so this is the other part where the community came in, because they're really talking about the traffic flow with the school down the street, what types of businesses would be coming through there. And if you go to the next page after that, we self-regulated ourselves to highlight in yellow the things that we would not put in this location, okay? And that's a 36% reduction of what is the permitted use on there. So what we did leave on there are things that are daytime operations or very low impact traffic flow. That way, that's a commitment, being a good neighbor to the surrounding people that's there. And we heard that loud and clear from the commission members, and we heard it from the demonstrators, or the people that were here just concerned about what might be going on 8+ acre lots. And so if the condition feels appropriate tonight for approval, we would like this to be part of the condition, that these are the types of businesses that would come in, and these are the types of businesses that would be prohibited from coming to that location.
Are those buildings single use, or they would be split up? I envision them being single use. I don't think they present themselves well to multi-tenant type of layout.
And we want to make sure we saw that they well factor the 36%. I worked hard today, so. Then we get into the architectural and the covenants of these buildings. I'm going to let Matt talk about this because I think it's very important to know just so much what possibly can go on there, but what's it going to look like aesthetically as you drive by this location.
So we wanted to have something that obviously accommodates the overlay district. So the predominantly masonry, 100% masonry front. There is some signage on there. And then on the sides where it would turn, it would be an LP material on the sides. And then a metal facade around the additional material on that going on the further back on the side that's a larger structure. And then metal facade on the rear. The material that we're showing here is to create an architectural standard for the development. So we wouldn't necessarily want to see all the buildings identical, what we're showing here is they're identical. And they certainly could be, but we're going to create the REA restricted easement agreements. We're going to have architectural standards as well. So anybody coming in, if we sell a lot, and instead of building ourselves and leasing it, they'll first have to meet these standards, but then also have to come in front of you guys to get approvals for the buildings as well. So it kind of creates a starting point for them for some consistency in the park. And it would be, we want to have materials that are in line with the C-store, so there's architectural cohesion throughout the development.
The other question that was brought up in the previous slide, we talked about access and fire protection, fire safety, and access to those additional business development 4 buildings on that north side. By having those 4 buildings and eliminating the south side development, we did push the road, access road further towards 30 within those parameters. And then you'd have specific drive aisles in the parking lot fields. So this gives better access if there ever was an emergency that takes place at any of these given businesses. We didn't cut off any traffic flow that was going to come in and out of this project here. That was another point of contention that the commissioner brought up to us, and we want to make sure that we heard that and we addressed that concern here tonight as well.
We're also looking at making provisions for a turnaround at the end, so that if somebody pulls into the furthest parking lot, a large fire truck, perhaps they have the ability to negotiate their way out of the site. So it's not just dead-end road, there's the ability to navigate a vehicle in and out.
I have a quick question about unintended uses. I see under food and drink, pretty much have all of that crossed off. Why is that?
That's the portion for the 4 other buildings.
Yes.
Okay, the food and drink is still going to take place. I guess should make that clear. The intended uses that we highlighted and we would eliminate would be for those 4 extra buildings. The C-store is going to have probably a food component that's in there. We want to make sure that that's a natural flow that goes in and out of the convenience store there. We want to make sure that we didn't want to have a QSR or anything like that where traffic continually comes in and out of there. The residents talked about additional stacking, additional vehicles that would come in there. The fuel station doesn't generate traffic. You don't go out and look for a gas station. You come upon it and stop right. And so that, we thought that was very important, that the other intended uses of those other 4 buildings, we didn't want to have something that was a circle of traffic that wasn't for business use. If that makes sense.
Any restrictions here that the body here doesn't feel like we need, we don't want any additional restrictions. That we
Well,
have to
I just
endure.
thought, there are 3 schools right there, having like an ice cream shop or a small sandwich shop. I don't know. And what do you guys think about that? It would,
I see both sides of it,
Yeah.
that they're saying it would potentially draw more traffic, but at the same
It's
token.
small, yeah.
Yeah, well, I would use the, popular coffee chain going in there, and the line for that in the morning would be the worst thing that you
Oh,
could
yeah,
experience.
coffee. Yeah, definitely not coffee, but.
With the gas station, I mean, you have most of that in the gas station.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think the owner of that location there, that wasn't, nothing else off the side of the face, and have someone that's competing with.
Okay,
with
I get
business.
it, yep, okay.
Let me make an observation and ask a question. On this particular drawing, going back to your example of an HVAC company, a lot of these small businesses like that will have semis coming in and out. And some of these turns look awful tight to get a semi in and out to load or unload HVAC equipment. The question is, do any of these four have elevated loading docks?
No, I don't think when people do their site selections, if they're heavy semi use, they're not gonna be looking at this site. We don't have depressed docks, and we don't have raised docks. So we do have overhead doors there. Some of these buildings may have 2 overhead doors on the final design, but we're not gonna accommodate a heavy use like that. That would be, if somebody decided to do that, it'd probably be lack of foresight on the person that's looking at this. I do want to add, just in case we didn't take this correctly, the restrictions that we're looking to add are on the additional 4 buildings, not the C-store site. Because there will be a food option inside of the C-store.
Oh, okay.
And
I
they
was
will sell
not
ice
aware.
cream out of the cooler. I think it'll be self-serve, but
Okay.
just to avoid any
Okay.
issues down the road.
Did I understand right, the store is 5,000 square foot?
Approximately.
Yeah, here.
And I believe you should have a rendering of what the store looks like in your packet as well. That's it. I guess we'll have that in there.
What is the facade on the gas station?
That is so on the lower area, that is 100% masonry, and then the upper area would be like LP material.
All the way around?
Predominantly all the way around, yes. And then in the rear of the building, which isn't unfortunately shown here, it actually has a depression in the roof that hides all of the RTU and any type of kitchen equipment that would be there, so it's not seen from the ground, and it's not on the ground. This is a new,
Sorry, I didn't make a comment on these 4 buildings. It would be better if you take that brick facade and put it on, I'll call it an office, a small building in front, if they have a facade on the side. I see some buildings are like that, they got dusted up, especially on 30.
yeah.
It's a small area, these are much smaller from here. We get a facade, like what you have on the front, but, it wraps around about 2 feet on the side. What should be that whole side?
And this might be a good, don't forget, we have all of our code that still applies. We have a Route 30 overlay that still applies. When we deal with the sanitary issue, we still have an issue that in the zoning that they're in, that's going to be a special exception. I know what they're presenting, and this is what they want, but again, when we come back to the unintended uses, that's something this plan commission should spend some time on. If in fact we're going to have written commitments from the petitioner that's restricting some permitted uses, then that needs to be, that's tonight before we do any recommendation above us. So on those written commitments, not only is it permitted uses that I think one of the reasons why we got brought back tonight was to deal with those, but also don't forget if it's one of the issues listed density, so if your zone recommendation to go up is a favorable, includes only being the C-store at 4 lots or however the math is working, and these permitted uses within the zone are specifically being removed to make the eventual vote comfortable. That's what the commitments and the things we should be looking for tonight. Does that make sense? Because Rick, as you know, we have the Route 30 overlay. This rezone application hasn't been run through, doesn't meet all of the requirements of the Route 30 overlay. So before we get too far down in like facade material, because that will be in there, that's why I thought now would be a good time to bring it up. Then also to add, they have many more steps to go after you. You're just dealing strictly with the zoning. They'll still have to appear before us with their site development plans and meet the UDO, and as Scott said, the overlay. And the overlay does touch on architecture.
All those, yeah, you're gonna have a lot more bites to the apple here. So, but we're just being very transparent to you tonight. We appreciate some of those feedbacks, because as we hopefully eventually advance this project forward here, we're gonna be proactive on some of those concerns we're hearing tonight as well. We know that as we move forward here, and this is something I'll kick over to Adam and Matt on, where things that we talked about before was the traffic study and things of that nature, and the impact of the roadways. And again, as we go through the planning commission process, all those things will be delivered to you as per the ordinance and per the building code here for Porter County. But if you guys want to touch on that real quick, and just a little bit of the scope that we're looking at.
I think it's just important to know there were questions and concerns that the public raised with regard to traffic and the close proximity of the schools down the road. And we appreciate those same concerns. And depending on the outcome of this meeting, frankly, we'll kick off a traffic impact study so that we know we're accessing the state highway. And on one of your slides, there is this overview of traffic impact study scope. This is straight from the traffic consultant, 10 bullet point items that outlines the scope of work that they intend to accomplish. Some items to consider is we'll be looking at, we're accessing a driveway similar to the speedway just down the road where you're turning into a convenience store off of a deceleration lane. We'll be looking at traffic volume split between Highway 30 and 600 to determine what's the impact of the traffic that could be generated on this site, and how does that affect the other traffic, and does it require, another look at the calibration of the light timing? Do we have enough stacking depth along 600 compared to Speedway just down the road? This will be better because you won't be letting folks off and trying to get into the lane, so we're allowing some room away from Highway 30. So this is the overview, and so we appreciate these items. These will all be presented, packaged up, recommendations made to my team as we put together the development plan and presented to the department here for further review.
As far as traffic goes, C-stores are not traffic generators, they capture it. So if you're not going to drive across town to go to a particular C-store, you're going to go there if it's convenient for you. So if you're on the right side of the road, if it's on your way, those are the types of customers that will stop at a typical C-store.
I think Scott's right. With the convenience store there, you're right. They're just going to capture people that are coming by. I think we need to look at the unintended uses to make sure that, we're comfortable with what they're not, it's a bar, coffee shop, delicatessen, they kind of exclude that because it's going to be in their C-store, so we don't want that there, but,
No, they said that that's not the C-store. Those could go in the C-store. That's
Yeah,
the
the C-store, the way to read the food and drink, don't read the permitted uses of food and drink as that would prohibit C-store. The C-store itself is an allowed use.
right.
So therefore if we don't allow a coffee shop, that would be in one of the
So I'm looking at this as the four buildings are these
Yeah.
unintended uses, correct?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that I think.
It's a density thing. It's the buildings.
Well, the convenience store is allowed in the zoning and encompasses coffee, food, beverages, convenience, so the toilet paper, things like that. So we don't, even if we took out the permitted use of a restaurant, that wouldn't affect the C-store. At a code level, they're also asking for it not to affect the C-store. I'm saying it won't, if we take the restaurant out.
Right, and so that's why I'm saying with the unintended uses, these are just on strictly the four buildings that they're asking for. And, I I think if everybody looked at this, you know, fitness centers, recreational, you know, dry clean, daycare, child, you know, that would be the things that would run through my mind, but that's why I think we need to focus on this. If we're good with this, with the 4 buildings, then
I think the things that they've highlighted that they wouldn't have there would draw a large amount of traffic. So that's going to help bring the traffic down in
Right,
that
that's-
area also.
right.
So I have a question though. Can they in the C-store, you know, you commonly see like a Taco Bell or a Pizza Hut or what, can they do that as part of the C-store still? Okay, that was just what I was wondering now.
I think from your last meeting, what staff heard you say, you recognize that the gas station convenience station can go in there regardless of the zoning, UCH as it is now,
Yeah,
or other. So we put that aside. I think we're
just for
planning.
the questions he was asking, that's why I'm
Exactly.
making that clear. maybe.
And so what we heard you say, you were concerned about the number of lots, which would then dictate the density, and then the use would dictate how much traffic flow. I think, if I heard you right, those were the 3 parameters you guys were struggling with or having questions on. So we met with petitioner and expressed those, what we read, the commission. So tonight they're coming prepared to do that. It's up to you if you want to accept that or you want to add it.
I'm okay with it, I was just confirming.
Sure.
I live in that area, and I will tell you, Route 30 is a dead zone in that area. There is nothing. If you want a restaurant, you want to get ice cream or whatever, you have to go to Maryville, and the closest on the east side is Stratton Van Til. So I personally would not be opposed to an ice cream shop or something small. I agree with you about a coffee shop because you have 1 million people coming in for
Well-
coffee and that could create a traffic thing.
And I was thinking of right at the convenience store, but if it's off the way, somebody's gonna have to think harder about coming off and then going further in. They're still gonna think harder than if it's right at the gas station.
I guess I'd love to know what's going to be at that gas station.
Well, and like I said, to me, it'll be what it'll be, but, yeah, I could see.
I wanna make it
I
nice.
could see the ice cream shop, because that might become a
Yeah.
nice little hangout for the kids after school.
An ice cream shop or even a delicatessen. I mean, there is a delicatessen, just like for sandwiches. I don't
Oh.
know.
Well, I honestly, you guys have addressed what I had an issue with. My issue was the 10 pounds in a 5-pound bucket. You addressed that. I believe in my heart, or I believe, not even my heart, I don't say that, but the septic is going to, whatever you put in for septic is actually going to limit the amount of people going into that too. Because you're not going to ever, you're going to have to go to the plan commission, or to the stormwater board and say, hey, we want to put this thing in here with 20 clients, 20 offices and this, and they're going to say, this septic's not going to hold it.
Right.
And so that's going to help limit the amount of traffic in and out of it. So quite honestly, I'm way more comfortable in this than the last time we sat here and talked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That was my main concern was with the amount of buildings. I think now it you know, scales it down to 4. I don't see a problem with it.
I'm still stuck on the septic versus sewer. In part because of the unknown.
And there is some unknown. I don't know, I mean, we went from 6 to 4 buildings. We still have one way in and one way out for the 4 buildings. We have 2 over here, we built 2 other exits, they're gonna be the 2 main exits, but they're still gonna be pretty much occupied by the gas station. And I'm not so much looking at the fact of what businesses are gonna be and what businesses aren't gonna be in there. I mean, I see a little bit of a reduction, but I still don't see how there wouldn't be a problem there down the road. It's better, but you went from 4 to 6. You still have one way in, one way out, regardless of the 2 other entrances. But I mean, it's slightly better, I guess I would say.
Not to address your question one way in, not one way out, unless there's another, is there another drive on the east part of long US 30?
No.
Okay. So, along US 30,
I was in INDOT when it happened. That's limited access right away. They bought not only the right for the right of way, they bought the right for access across the line. So if that's a condition you want, we certainly can put that in there, but then the petitioner will have to go to INDOT and request reasoning why they need a break.
Your lot is 990 feet wide, is that correct, by 360? Does that sound right?
That's correct.
Where does the acceleration lane start in relation to your property line? Is it within the 990 feet, or is it before?
If you look at the conceptual rendering, you'll see it's overlaid on an aerial image. So you see the existing former entrance to the restaurant. They don't have that. Yeah, they're there.
Yeah.
It's just to the east.
Oh, I think I can just
Do you see
barely
that?
see it right here.
And that's just a conceptual rendering. That'll be further refined when we do our
I think that's what you're asking.
traffic
Right, what
study.
I'm getting at, you're going from a de-acceleration lane from here to here, to now you've cut it in half.
That's right.
So the question is, can that be sent farther to the east, extended east?
Those will all be issues that, a couple comments in return. Those will all be issues that are sorted out with INDOT in order to create a commercial access drive up the state highway. They'll look at deceleration, they'll look at traffic speed, and it's worth pointing out it's the identical situation as Demonstrated Speedway. And I would say that situation is less considered as far as engineering goes because they just have a wide open pavement where you get into that convenience store. But no, those are all issues that we'll work through, and they will have a strong opinion on where it's going to be.
The conversations with INDOT, with other locations with easements that are of this nature, the conversation we had with them was, and I believe it was my statement, but they reaffirmed it, that it was equivalent of act of God to get across that restricted easement.
I did have a question now that I look at this. This is basically you're putting in a frontage road. Is that correct? Is that, I mean, now, my question is, this is kind of down the road and looking, is that road you're putting in capable of, like if we would want to extend it? Like if somebody else would want to go further east, is what I'm asking, and that becomes more developed out on that corridor, would this road be able to sustain that kind of traffic? I mean, is it is it built to like, I guess it was highway standards or Porter County road standards by width? I just wonder, because I'm thinking, now my brain's got going down the future, and that corridor through there, who knows what's going to happen? And does this become like I said, a frontage road? Yeah, like you go down by Albany's down there, they've got frontage roads being built down across there to keep the traffic off there, to move from building to building. I mean, was that considered, or is that kind of
Not at
am
all.
I somewhere out in the middle of nowhere right now?
I would say not at all. And I would say a frontage road that has been considered in the past in the town of Maryville was strongly sponsored by the town, I'm sure, in order to create frontage roads off the state highway. In this case, this is an access drive to serve 4 buildings that's privately maintained.
And I understand that.
Not just answering your question.
I'm just trying to think outside of this. We're looking at a plan that, this isn't today, tomorrow, this is the future. And we had somebody up here one day, and we had to put a sidewalk out in the front of the subdivision because the future. That's what I'm concerned about. In my head, it's like, if this ever comes to pass, is this something that could be done in the original thing? That way, we're thinking ahead of time.
I would say no.
And that's part of
only
planning.
because the west end leads you right into the fuel canopies. If it's intended to be a road that would continue along the
Okay. I'm just,
north side of Highway 30 as we go east and west, I would say no.
I understand that, but I'm just trying to,
But that doesn't mean like long-term planning where, like you said, if it continues to go east,
yeah.
and that roadway becomes long-term planning of a connection point, you're gonna have other accesses onto 30 east of there,
Yeah.
which possibly could be something that we look at. But I say that That today would be a use for, in that standard type of roadway. I think that's a site development plan concept conversation, if we're past what we're looking at tonight, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I'm just trying to,
If I can help clarify, maybe put this aside.
okay.
So the other steps they gotta go for the site development plan, and our UDO does require, if you vote to require, that thing continues to the east. So we can address that then, and that, no, that's quite all right. And, you know, as I was talking before, that's a limited access right. I'm telling you, having worked at it, like they said, it's tough to get, it's not impossible, but it's not. So your question on that issue, as you brought up, is this use, knowing fully well you can't get it? You know, that's the question you got to answer yourself. So I'm just telling you from practical experience, when it comes to limited access right, that it's not an easy thing to get, because NDOT paid dearly to have that access right. And they did it for a reason, because they don't want driveways willy-nilly along that road. Okay? So, to put it, hopefully it puts to bed the thing about continuing the road. We will deal with that during the site with our ordinances. And you can mention it, a lot of towns do mention that because they want a continuation of, call it a frontage road. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I was just, thinking,
So, again, tonight, your job is, do you want to get this zoning based on what you hear? Is it good for the reasons that they present? Do you want to put in conditions such as the number of lots, which controls the density, and the number of buildings and uses? I think that's, we need to refocus there and have those discussions.
Are you finished with your presentation?
I got a couple more pieces here that I think are valuable. Because you guys are a hybrid of a lot of different buckets for representation here. You got the commissioner, you got the council, and you got the public connection on this board. So you guys do represent a lot of different various important needs for county. And again, this is why this is last, because I don't want this to be what's leading the charge, but I think we have solid, good planning procedures here that we presented here tonight. Based on the feedback we have here, we want to show you if in fact this would move forward in its current form, what this does to the other basis of economic development to the Porter County. So on your page here, we do have impacts on payroll, tax base, county revenues, economic impact. So if you go to the economic impact page first that's on here, it's, again, even with reduced density, the project delivers a meaningful public benefit, construction jobs. Whereas if it was a single-use scenario, we're looking at anywhere plus or minus 60 construction jobs. But if you see on your vision plan, you're looking over 150 construction jobs. These are people that work and deliver and live in your community. When you start to look at permanent jobs, if you look at one single use, you might have 10 permanent part-time positions in that C-store location here. The CM revised plan does offer opportunity for 90 to 130 permanent jobs focused on office, business sources, light warehouse, or fixed users that is in the CM portfolio that's still being presented to you for an opportunity to locate there. And these are local year-round jobs, not transient or high-impact uses. And so when we get back into what it means in the dollars and cents, every community I know is going to see the Senate bill where reductions are coming in. And again, I'm not using this as a pressure plan like that, it's a reality. So when we start to do the conservative Indiana wages and assumptions, one location there would produce anywhere plus or minus 350,000 on a payroll, or the current use with the lower density that's proposed here could produce anywhere over $4.25 million in annual revenue, which goes into your local option income tax, which Porter County has a minuscule 0.5, which is nice, but that still does provide impact to those buckets that can help in other areas. And then when you start to look at the community property tax base, where CH development would be about 5 or 6 million, this would be about a 15+ million taxable improvements. So it means more assessment valuation, more stability, better return on existing infrastructure. Again, that shouldn't be the pressure point or anything like that that makes the decision here, but it is part of the equation when you start to look at the different bodies who sit up here and who you represent. When we get to talking pieces of why this might go through or why it didn't go through, those are valuable conversations I have as well. And again, we respect the Porter County's careful approach to growth. We've listened, we've adjusted. We volunteered to pull some of the project back. Rezoning from CH to CM doesn't increase the intensity, but it corrects maybe a zoning area that's always been a challenge in that location. You talked about very little development in that location going over the time there, right? So we felt that this is a responsible way to support jobs, tax-based, long-term flexibility, and balance the approach of what reflects Porter County's vision for smart, sustainable development. It was brought upon us, that we talked about before, Councilman Stone, you talked about Lake County, right? The only Lake County, we understand that, and as we move forward here, we're not bringing Lake County to Porter County. We are taking Porter County value and vision and trying to develop what you want to have here tonight. And so we're all in on that as well.
No, I appreciate that.
As well as your commissioner, these are valuable points. Appreciate those.
Thank you. Anybody have any other questions?
For me, it just boils down to if everybody's happy with going from 6 to 4 buildings, honestly, that's the bottom line. So.
Do we have a motion?
And again, if we're gonna do these, if we are gonna have written commitments, I want everyone to understand that whatever that we are pulling out of permitted, that's a legal document that gets produced after this meeting that's executable and recorded on the property if the commissioners approve the rezone. So it's a serious document that if we're gonna pull permitted uses out or we're gonna limit lots, let's be very clear about it.
Can we discuss drainage? The reality is, when you do a drive-by at that particular site, and as I mentioned before, the width is 990, but you're also getting water drainage from all of Route 30 and whatever's in that culvert and ditch is going east to west. That's also flowing towards your property. I'm not quite sure how you handle that.
Well, we haven't done that part of it yet. So we obviously need to meet all the standards that's required.
In your experience in the past, could something like that be corrected, or how would you deal with something like that?
If I could maybe address that.
Sure.
They'll still have to follow the Porter County stormwater ordinance, whatever it is, and it's a pretty stout ordinance. And they're proposing 4 lots. And let's say the calculations say, well, we need a pond bigger, or we need this or that. Well, they're gonna have to make a business decision. They may not be 4 lots, they may be 3 lots.
Okay,
So they have to adhere to our standards.
let me ask the question this way. The initial problem when you do the driveway down Route 30, it's not on their property.
They have to account for the water that enters their property and leaves their property.
Okay, good to know.
That's in our ordinance. And that will be dealt with at the time they turn in engineer drawings showing all their calculations, meeting our requirements. And like I said, you may say up to 4 lots, not exactly, because if they have to have more space to put a septic system in, or they have to the state code, or they have to make bigger detention pond because the calculations for stormwater says they do, well, then they can only do 2 or 3 lots then.
There's a lot of things that have been changed, what we're doing tonight is just approving.
It's the upper limits. I guess it would be, at this stage, if 4 with the septic and the drainage were allowed, is 4 comfortable? Now, they may very well have 4, or they could get through engineering and end up with 3. That's the way it would change, but instead of necessarily worrying exactly what the final product is, worry about, is this use okay, and is this many lots okay? That's the key at this point.
Now, I'd ask Bob, so I just want to confirm this. We're basically going from the zoning that allows 1 building on that property to allowing them to change zoning so they can have 4 buildings on that property. Is that
True.
Or multiple buildings? Is that what we're doing?
That's true or false. If they decide to keep it as all one property, 8 point whatever acres,
Yeah.
they could put what the UDO allows them to put. It could be more than 1 building.
Okay.
They just can't have less than a 5-acre lot in CH zoning, because that's what otherwise they'd have to get a variance, or they'd have to come to here, and what they're doing is asking for zoning.
My understanding is we could have multiple structures on 1 lot.
As long as it met our criteria, yes.
Correct. But wouldn't like that because we like separate parcels to have separate buildings.
That's kind of
So the whole premise of them being here is they want to subdivide into lots. That's really their aim here.
What's the acreage of the gas station itself? Just, you know, the lot of the gas station, out of the 8 acres, what's the gas station comprised of? About 2. So it's 6 acres for the 4 buildings, so 2 acres per, you have the drainage, 1.5.
They're like 2, 1, 1, 1, and then the last, another remnant of the east. Because it goes, the property line would extend all the way to 230, whereas the others, proposed property line would extend only to the detention pond, the middle, the 3 buildings. Does that make sense?
And keep in mind, if they get into subdivision, they're gonna be coming back again because they gotta go through subdivision control. So this is not the end of this.
Could I ask Scott to please repeat the legal implications of what we're doing?
So if we send a favorable recommendation to rezone this property as requested, the CM uses are allowed, and they have outlined a CM unintended uses highlighted in yellow. Those were the ones that they self-performed based upon last meeting, and what the board basically was trying to communicate as far as the density of the traffic. The density was 2 layers, it was the lot and the uses. So this is in response to the uses. The legalese of it all is, if in fact they're rezoned, they're allowed to use any of these permitted uses, they're allowed. Just go upstairs and get a permit. At this stage, when we rezone as part of the negotiation, this is when uses that we don't feel work, whether it's a density issue or a traffic issue or some other issue, this is where on the rezone, the Plan Commission, as the advisory body, doing the public hearings, et cetera, sending the recommendation to the commissioners, are supposed to figure out and propound what shouldn't be in here, if anything. So lots of rezones happen without written commitments, but a lot happen with written commitments, and this is how you get there legally. And it would be part of the motion if in fact you guys include it.
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. There are 3 schools within a quarter of a mile of this facility, and I'd like to see something that would benefit the schools also. I don't agree with, having a tavern or a coffee shop or a restaurant. I agree with Nikki. But I don't think a small delicatessen or pizza carry-out or ice cream shop is going to hurt. That's just my opinion.
And you could make that, one piece of advice I would give you.
Okay.
Being in the traffic profession before doing these traffic impact studies. The big key is, if you got drive-up windows, that's a lot of traffic.
How about no drive-up windows? They just have to walk in the shop and get it. I'm just thinking about the schools, and I don't know.
I'm telling you, the fast food feeders and things with drive-up windows, just right off the top, are generally high traffic volume places.
Yeah, no, I get it. If it would be possible to make it to where it would not be any type of a drive-up window, I don't know if we would have the right to do
That's
that.
up to you guys to decide.
I guess I would just like to see the people in the area benefit from this location too. As I mentioned, there's nothing on Route 30 at all in that area, but that's just my opinion.
Make a motion. It's a recommend rezoning. So if you want to make a motion to recommend with those changes, you can do that.
Okay, I'll make a recommendation, or a motion, I'm trying to make a motion to rezone to allow an ice cream shop and like a pizza carry-out shop, just something to benefit the people in the area. Nothing with drive-up windows or anything that would create any extra traffic.
So I think what I'm hearing is a motion to approve the requested rezone and to accept the unintended uses as presented by the petitioner, excluding
Delicatessen and
delicatessen, and ice cream shop.
Am I missing,
Well, there's nothing
Without
about details in
drive-through.
here, and somebody wanted to.
am I missing something there, just so I'm clear?
Okay.
The gas station, as it sits right now, can have a coffee shop, delicatessen, ice cream shop.
The C-store.
You're talking about the.
Yeah, we're talking about the
the
three or four.
Three or four pole barns, not pole
Right.
barns, but
Yeah.
other buildings.
Correct.
From the other building.
If they choose to have
They
it,
choose to have it.
but if they don't, then there won't be one.
Realistically, the cost of the rent on a building that size, an ice cream shop's just not gonna make the kind of money to put that kind of rent. I understand what you're saying, but the reality, the economics of it, I don't see it happening.
But we can at least allow it if it could.
Certainly. But it's,
I just want to do something for the people in the area too. I mean, that was my only.
Do we have a second?
Well, I don't think we have a completed motion yet, so let me restate it again. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think your motion is to approve the requested rezone as presented by the petitioner to not allow drive-throughs within any of the permitted uses, that the unintended uses as presented by the petitioner in the packet, highlighted in yellow, would be removed from the permitted use list through a set of written commitments, except for ice cream shop and delicatessens. And what I haven't heard is whether or not you're limiting the lots.
I think it's 4 buildings.
Five
Oh,
gas stations.
So,
I'm sorry.
and how you say it, whether it's the commitment, we all know the C-stores go in there. So we can go on to say the motion includes that the unintended uses being removed by written commitment on the, shall only apply to the remaining maximum 4 lots.
Yes.
So I think I understand my own creation here. 4 lots maximum, no drive-through. The zone as requested is approved. The permitted uses are, the unintended uses are removed for ice cream shop and delicatessens.
Okay. The gas station and the 4 lots.
That's correct. That is the C-store plus a maximum of 4 outlots.
The only thing if I could just like to make a suggestion is on those 4 buildings or those 4 lots, no drive-up windows.
He said
that.
Okay, you said that. I just want to make sure I didn't hear you. I apologize.
No, it's okay. That's part of this proposed motion.
Okay.
Is that your motion?
Yes, this would be, so like if the school wanted to order sandwiches for the teachers, or they wanted to get ice cream for the classes.
Or look at Valpo Velvet over here, you know, they're a pretty big store, but they don't have a drive-through.
Yeah,
Do we have a
yeah.
second?
Second.
Okay, now discussion.
Who made the second?
I did.
I have one question on the permitted uses. It says automobile oil alkylene parts facility. What is that? Can somebody tell me that?
These are your uses.
I don't know what that word is. I don't know what that is.
It's very unique.
It's unique enough.
We're Googling.
Why did I do that?
Should be an oil change, typo.
Typo, oil change?
Oil change, yes.
Can we eliminate that?
Okay.
Oh, that should be changed.
Oil
I think
change.
that might be Australian, but it's misspelling, it should be oil change.
Oil change facility there too? That's a mechanic shop.
That's what I thought.
Okay, so on theirs, it has at Halcatine,
Yeah,
but on ours, it has oil change facility.
okay. So it's a typo.
It's a typo.
We got it.
Typo.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other discussion? This is where the other members, if you would want additions or subtractions from the motion, this is where we make those comments.
Anybody?
I'm still concerned with the septic, and I don't know how to get around it, because it's,
Right, this is the other comments?
what comes first, the horse or the cart?
Hold on a second, I will get the comments, so hold on a second, we'll get to go down the line, so.
Any other comments?
I appreciate the unintended use of scaling back on that, and scaling back on the buildings.
Okay, Margaret?
Still concerned with the septic. When you look at the terrain, there's a lot of lowlands, and I understand it will be dealt with after the fact, but,
Well, it's not just designed after the fact. Whether that is a septic or a sanitary hasn't been totally decided and would be a special exception in this zoning. So again, we're relying back on our code.
Nikki?
So the only thing I guess I just got realizing, because I had said, you know, oh, well, that was just a simple typo. I'm looking at that list, they had gas station, but was not on the commercial uses list. And I'm not saying it's a problem, but I'm just pointing out what I think got lumped into that word. Oil change facility, part sales, auto rental, auto repair service station, auto sales, auto wash. So I'm just pointing out, because I had said, well, that's what it was. No.
Are you going to CM or CH?
I was looking at CH. Oh, I
We're going to
was on
CM.
CN. Okay, never mind. I thought it was that one. Okay, so I just wanted to point out, I thought I was that wrong, but sorry, I got the pages mixed up.
CH?
But no.
Yeah, CH actually has more uses and CM actually produces
Yep.
it, and we reduce it from there.
Right.
I thought that's where I saw some of your, because you had parts on there, that's why I started mixing it, so there's extra words in. But I am good with what we're saying, including, like I said, I like the ice cream shop idea or something like that.
Other comments?
I'm good.
Commissioner, any comments?
No, I mean, I have some of the other concerns that were, you know, were brought up, but, no, I'm ready to vote.
I said enough.
Okay. Attorney Collins?
I think they're still with, I had better hear you something.
Write legibly.
I put it in my...
Sorry,
He doesn't know your name right now, Rick.
not right, it's signed legibly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
In the case for ZO 2025-33, the votes for the motion are as follows. Pamela Mishra-Fish, yes. All right. Redstone, yes. Arden Merker, yes. Rick Burns, yes. Craig Kenworthy, yes. Bob Gilliana, yes. I take it that this is your turn.
Sorry.
Yes. And Ed Morales, no. Motion passes 7-1.
I signed it Nicole, not Nancy.
Nice presentation.
Thank you for your time today. Appreciate that.
And thank you for your understanding and your changes.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have our staff report.
Update on the comprehensive plan. Some of you, if you're not already, will be shortly being contacted by our consultant on the comprehensive plan to, and you're invited to attend. We're having a public open house on the comprehensive plan at the Expo Center. I believe it's February 23rd.
They will also be reaching out to you. A lot of you are very much into social media platforms, and we're asking you kindly to spread the word. They'll give you the information that maybe you could post on your social media page if you have one, or if you care to. Again, to get the word out so we can have the public attend. The campaign to advertise this began officially yesterday. There'll be press releases going out. The county webpage has already got it posted on their page. We'll be putting posters out around the county. And the more public we can get involved here, because we're at the stage now, we've collected a lot of information. It's been somewhat distilled and refined, and we want to run this by the public to see if they see it the same way we do, based on their comments they gave us over the last year. So it's going to be a pretty important meeting. And then sometime after that, for some of you that are sitting here also on the steering committee, there'll be a steering committee meeting following that sometime in close order. So we're getting close to getting to the point where we're going to give the consultant the direction to write the document for our draft review. We intend, obviously, it's going to come to the planning commission. It's going to be a very voluminous document, so we've asked that, usually these comp plans sometimes are this big, so we asked them, hey, the main gist of it's got to be 25, 40 pages tops, and we can have all these other documents over here if you want to plow through them. So definitely going to be calling upon you sometime to make a recommendation to the commissioners whether or not to adopt this land use and thoroughfare plan as part of the comp plan. So get ready, a lot of reading to do, a lot of participation. This is going to chart the future of development in Porter County and land use for years to come. Planning Commission Subcommittee, we had our first meeting. Some of you were in attendance to that. I thought it was well attended, a lot of good discussion. First meeting, we just spent the time going over certain key points of the UDO. Susan and Kurt and I made presentation to them, kind of telling them, here, getting up to speed. I think it's a really good group. It's just like the steering committee for the conference, a wide varied group of people representing different interests, different walks of life. Same could be with the Planning Commission subcommittee. Our next meeting probably be sometime in February. We'll start challenging the committee, bringing some ideas that staff has or maybe we've heard elsewhere. So more to come on that. That's as far as I got staff report. And lastly, under other business, I didn't have it last time, but in front of you is the calendar for 2026. I need your motion and approval of this calendar so we can set on this time report. As you know, in November, December, because of holidays and all that, we try to combine those sometime in the first or second week. But you can determine that.
Okay, do you have a motion to approve the calendar? So moved. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, who made the motion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Approved. Any other business?
I'm sorry?
Any other business?
No, sir.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. All in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? No. Thank you.